Hey everybody, it's Josh. Wanted to talk today about something I heard. It was an old Nobel Prize winner. His name was Sir Peter Medawar. And he said that science cannot answer the basic questions that even a child asks. Like, who am I? What is the purpose of my existence? Where am I going? I hear a lot of doubters. Atheism became a religion. Became a religion of science at first. But then the things that science can answer, they just run you around in circles saying that's just it's not possible. You're stupid for believing that. You're just dumb. I was just listening to a podcast on the way from seeing my mom in the hospital. And it was Joe Rogan. And he had, I believe, the comedian Chris Stefano on. And I like listening to comedians. I love Joe Rogan's podcast. But he was talking about Chris Stefano had read The Case for Christ, which is, I've read parts of it. I know a lot of what's in it, but I haven't read it yet. It's on my list in Audible. Actually, I might listen to it on the way home from Pennsylvania. And Chris Stefano was laying out all these things of why Christ was generally accepted by so many historians as fact. Even the resurrection. Everybody knows that he was a real person. He was a very good guy, they say, and he preached a lot of good things, but there's also evidence of the resurrection. And Chris had said that he was a Catholic when he grew up Catholic, when all the bad things were happening with the Catholic Church. You know, the priests and their scandals, and society in general just completely denied Christianity, just completely shunned anyone who still believed it, called them basically cultist lunatics or whatever. And Chris was laying out all this stuff for Joe Rogan, all these facts that came from eyewitnesses back in the day. And Joe was just like, well, it was just a mass hallucination. It was, the 500 people saw him after his resurrection. It was just a mass hallucination. It was, people will think anything. They'll see the Virgin Mary in their French toast or whatever. This is what you deal with when you deal with people who just have made it they've made it their own religion to not believe in anything that modern or ancient religions tell them. I was watching some debate of an atheist and I think it was John Lewis and I can't remember, whoever the famous atheist is, Christopher Dawkins, I think it is his name. And Christopher Dawkins was saying, you believe this stuff on faith, and I believe in fact. And John Lewis said, I believe it was John Lewis, and I'm sorry if I got that name wrong. It's been a long week, and I'm not remembering things as clearly as I should. But he said that, well, your wife loves you, right? And he said, yes, of course, I believe so. He's like, why do you believe that? He said, it's faith that makes you believe your wife loves you. It's not fact. It's not provable fact that your wife loves you. And it really just, he started saying, well, there's facts that I can use as evidence to say, my wife loves me, and starts, trying to change the subject because he knew he was caught there. The most important questions in life are based on faith. We will never know them probably in this lifetime, unless God comes down and just allows us to know them. We will never know them, but they are so important. You have to understand that until you are ready to surrender, that you will not know everything. You basically know nothing. Probably most of what you've been told is wrong in some way. Not completely wrong, maybe. Maybe there's a kernel of truth. Maybe it's mostly true. But it's just going to be mainly wrong. And now I get it. Nobody wants to believe in things like Christianity, or I'm not saying nobody. People who have that mindset don't want to believe in things like Christianity because they have seen the priests, or maybe they've been to a church where they were so strict and just so, maybe they abused them. I just talked to somebody in the comments who was abused in the church. I also talked to other people who were children of preachers, or, children of very, very strict religious households. And they see the hypocrisy from these strict parents, because these people that treat their children like that, or or the messages that the things that they think that they know, because they see the worst of course the media and everything's going to jump on the worst of Christianity, because they'll point to anything they don't like, and the media hates Christianity. The media wants you to blindly follow only them and the government, and only the part of the government that they choose. That's all they want, because it is their religion. They think they are saving the world by even lying to you, knowingly lying to you, and telling you these things, and indoctrinating you. We've all been indoctrinated in so many ways. There's just no way around it. And this is why, when I was at my lowest point, I had to go to the source. I had to go to God, and I had to tell him, please, you have to show me. You have to show me the sign, because I don't know what to do. And I'm sure most of you who've been watching know what happened to me. I said that to God. I asked him, I was like, please, I cannot do this anymore. Please just show me, guide me, anything, any sign from you, and I will be your loyal servant. I just need to know what to do, because I cannot do this myself. And then, not even 10 minutes later, I hear that rustling in the woods, and that white-tailed doe comes galloping out, and then just looks at me with the most beautiful gaze I've ever seen in my life. And I get teary-eyed still thinking about it. It was powerful, because not only did he show me, but he showed me right at the exact time I needed it, and in the exact way. He knew what nature meant to me. He knew what I had been going through when my mom had the stroke and was paralyzed. And, the white-tailed doe, I wouldn't know this till later, because as I've explained also, my awakening, my message from God when God saved me, was a gift that I just keep unwrapping more and more of. And I'm barely even through taking off the first little bit of wrapping paper. But it was probably about 6 months in, maybe a little bit longer than that in, after God saved me. And he told me to go out and to study all the religions, all the spiritualities, all the mythologies, everything I could, the philosophies, so I didn't know at the time, I thought in my mind, well, the reason he's doing this is because he wants me to go and form my own religion. Take the best of every religion I could find and just form my own. And when you go into things thinking you know what God is talking about especially, you're almost always going to be wrong. We cannot fathom the plan that he has for us. The reason he told me to do this was so I would know as much as I possibly could about all of it. And yes, I did learn some things from many religions. And then, as I said, all roads led back to Christ. But it wasn't Christianity as we know it that I was led back to. It was the teachings of Christ, and the Christ that I knew. I had felt the presence of Christ when I was 12 or 13, and I was in a Bible camp, and they were talking about the day of the crucifixion. And they were just talking about the brutality and the way that Christ suffered. And this was teenagers just reading this story, and they were reading it for the first time ever. I had heard all the Bible stories. I'd grown up in a Presbyterian church. My parents were elders in the church, and I'd grown up very not hardcore religious, but I would say probably at least 50% of the Sundays I would go to church. So I went, and I finally was led back to Christ completely. I never strayed from Christ. I always said Christ will at least be that to me, because I had felt that he would be that love to me, that symbol of love. But I didn't know whether to believe, the basic Christian teachings of, is Christ God made flesh? I didn't know any of that stuff. I had stopped watching and reading and really being interested in any of that decades before, because I was lost. It was about having a good time. But the reason the white-tailed doe, was so powerful, not only did he come to me at the exact time I needed him to, he came to me in the way I needed to, because the white-tailed doe is a symbol of peace, of motherly love, and of spirituality. That was exactly what my life, the existential questions in my life at the time were exactly that. Because not only did my mom have that stroke, so the motherly love, my mother-in-law would die of a stroke about a month and a half later. And I've told a little bit about this, and I don't ever want to get too much into it until I talk to my wife about it. But that was the point right there where I know that not only my wife, but my entire family would have just been shattered if I wouldn't have had God give me the power of the Holy Spirit that just filled me with such profound peace. I tell you, I cannot even explain in words how powerful this peace is. And I still have it to this day. Right now, my mom is suffering in the hospital. My grandmother just died. Of course, I told you we lost my mother-in-law. My father, who is a caretaker along with my sister, just got out of the hospital himself twice. He had a stent put in, then he had an infection, and we didn't even know if, you never know if anyone's going to make it, especially when an elderly person gets sick. You don't know if they're going to make it. And before I would have broken down, I would have broken down completely. It would have been on me to be the one to stand strong, and I wouldn't have been able to do it. And God knew that I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. I watched something not too long ago about Christianity, and I recommend you read Case for Christ. I'm like I said, I know most of what's in it. I've been watching videos and stuff about it, and I've read a ton of articles about it, and also other scholars and theologians and what they think about it. But I watched something, and if I can find the video, I will try to link it in the description, but it'll probably be a while because I've obviously got a lot going on and I'll probably forget, honestly. But if you can remind me, that'd be great. There is a very good theologian that I like, and they were talking about the time when Jesus came. Why did Jesus come about 2,000 years ago? Why was that the time when he decided to come to earth? To make himself flesh. And with the timing and the symbol that he sent me that were so profound in my life, it was exactly the time in history. It was right in the middle of all the mythologies and religions, and the monotheistic to polytheistic religions, mainly polytheistic. People were worshiping all kinds of different gods in all kinds of different ways, and a lot of it was based on ancient Sumerian, which tells the story of a lot of the Old Testament too, just in different ways. But right at that exact time, it was smack dab in the middle exactly of all these religions, and the significance of that time was just perfect. Not only was it a time when his word could spread the easiest, but it was also the time when people needed him the most. They had suffered so much, and we all suffer so much. But imagine suffering, well, many of you know, many of you haven't had that profound awakening, or the born again, Christ comforts you in such a way. So that feeling of having these deep questions and these deep wonders of what is going on in this life? What is the meaning of this chaos? Without someone to make sense of it, which is exactly what Christ did, in exactly the right way, because he told us that it is about love, but it is more than that. We can be good people, and we can try to do all the right things that society tells us to do, and just no matter what, and we can still be deeply unhappy. Because you have to have the spirituality too. You have to be in touch with God. It is not only important, it is vital. Think about, I've talked about this before. Yeah, I heard the same car going by the other day. The muffler guy. Okay, so I talked about, I lost my train of thought with that. But anyway, so my point was that you need this spirituality in your life. Spirituality is different than knowing God. Spirituality to me is knowing yourself, your own spirit. So you can have a spiritual awakening and you will be in touch with your own spirit, which is close to a divine entity, because it is one step closer to God, one step closer to the divine realm, that wherever that may be or whatever that may be that God exists in. That is knowing yourself, and that is very important. But many people just stop there. It's like New Age spirituality or so many other things, and they stop there because they see the amazing power within it. But then you see these New Age spiritual people, and when really hard times come, they just crumble. They just crumble and fall, because you have to go beyond just basic spirituality. You have to get to know God. You have to put in the time to have that personal relationship with it. And I know that God sent me on a mission. God sent me on a mission to spread his word in a different way to different types of people that maybe the churches or the people that fall between the cracks, the forgotten, the outcasts in society. Because what do you think Jesus did? No, don't. I'm not saying I'm Jesus. No, I'm not Kanye West or something. I am humbled before Christ. I am saying I'm here to spread his word in the way that he taught me. And now it is completely unique to me how it must be done. And when you find your purpose, it will be completely unique to you. It might be similar. Of course it's similar. There's always going to be similarities, and there is always going to be the things that set it apart. But we all have this very unique connection but we also have this unique connection to others. And when we connect with God, we get this power within us. We get this power, and some people will actually choose to abuse it. Oh, and that's not good at all. Not one bit. If you abuse it, it's like when you just have the spirituality. You have that spirituality and you do the things like the manifestation or the things like that, and you will always be taught a harsh lesson, I'm telling you, because you stopped before the end. You stopped at spirit. You need to go to God. Do not stop seeking him. And when you find him, listen to what he tells you, and don't listen to what religious leaders or religious people tell you that you must do. You must accept this and do this and be like this. No, you only take your orders from God. And now I understand it is tricky because, as I said, when you get in touch with your spirit, it feels like you're in touch with God. That's what led me down my days of taking psychedelic drugs when I was in my early 20s. I thought I was in touch with my spirituality, and I thought, wow, this is God. God's in here somewhere. Let's just keep exploring deeper and deeper into the depths of madness, and I'll find him somewhere in here. I was completely getting lost, twisting myself in knots, and I had to learn that was not the end game here. There is no end game. There is no destination. There's a journey. There's the end of this journey and the beginning of another, but there is no end game in spirituality. We have to seek God and trying to comprehend what is God and what is just our spirit, or so often it's our inner demons, our ego, our hormones, whatever, some kind of damage in your brain. You never know. But you do. When God comes to you, you will know without a doubt. And sure, you might still question yourself sometimes. Of course, I questioned myself a few times. I caught myself being like, well, I know it's just all one big coincidence, I stopped myself. I realized how ridiculous it was. Like, oh, well, this deer was just probably somebody, people were feeding it, or somebody's pet, and, it just became... It doesn't explain the timing. It doesn't explain the fact that I went from being the most miserable person in the world to just this lasting peace, this feeling like the wealthiest person in the world. Even though I'm dead broke most of the time, I feel like the wealthiest person in the world. And there's very, very little, aside from something happening to my children, there's very little that can even shake that peace at all. Because I am completely accepting of anything God throws my way now. And I know that he wants me to find the people that were searching, but just in the dark like I was, and just give them a hand and be a beacon of hope for them. And I'm not supposed to be this evangelical going around teaching, oh, you must follow Christ or you'll... No, I'm going to lead them to the path. I'm going to lead you all, hopefully. Hopefully I can do this. I'm not for everyone, and I understand that. And I fully accept it. I do not want to be famous. I do not want to be anything except for what God tells me to be. I don't even care if I'm wealthy. I don't even care. Sure, it would be nice to have some money to not have to worry about that, but you know what? If God wants me to have money, then that's the path he will send me down. And no, I'm not talking about being rich. I don't want to be rich. I don't. I'd like to be comfortable. That used to be my biggest goal, is having enough money to be comfortable in life. So I could just, live in the woods and just, have a vehicle that's not breaking down every 10 minutes and, not have to worry about the things that poor people do. And if you're poor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it doesn't bother me one bit anymore. I see my friends and my family and my wife all getting so stressed out about these things that they can't change. Not having the money, being stuck in this poverty pit. And I don't want to say to them, some of them might be watching this, but I don't want to say to them that I just don't care anymore about that. But I don't. Money is the least of my concerns now. I am spiritually the most wealthy person that I know. And I hope I meet more people who, maybe a couple of people I've met might have the faith that I do. But I want everyone to have this. I want everyone to have this feeling that it's okay, no matter what happens. Not fearing death, but even better, not fearing life. I want you all to have that. I'm going to be out of town for probably at least a few more days. Please, in the comments, let me know if there's something specific on your mind. I do these for you. I'm here for all of you. I have my kindred spirits on there. You know who you are. I have people who have said that I've helped them, and that makes me feel amazing. But it's not about me. It's about you. My life is completely for all of you because it is given to God. And God has told me to give it to all of you. So, even though I have a lot going on now, I really want to know what's happening in your life. And if I can't comment, especially this week, and reply, it doesn't mean I'm not reading them. I'll put the little like in the heart thing so you'll know I read it. And I will do my best to address all of your questions and concerns in a video I do, because that is my purpose in life. I don't just do it just to get on here just for fun and just because I love all of you. I love you. I am here for you. You are not alone. Please understand that. You are not alone. I am here to be a beacon. And that beacon to light the path to finding, number one, your spirituality, and then finding God. I can't help you be wealthy, financially wealthy. Go to Dave Ramsey or Clark Howard or someone for that. I can't help you be a successful athlete. I might give you pointers on how to do these things. I know I've made money and I've lost money, and I've been good at sports, and I've succeeded in a lot of things, and I've failed at so many more. And I can help you because those type of things are important to you, and I understand that. But there's a deeper issue that makes them important. Because if you found that faith in God, if you found that pure, just loving, unconditional love, salvation, if you found that, there's not a problem that you could have that's going to shake you. I will read all your comments, and please ask any questions, or if there's anything you want me to talk about at all, please just put it on there. And I will do my best to address it. And I love you all so much. You all are my purpose in life. You really are. You know, I have my family, my friends, and I am here to guide them and hold them up. But it goes beyond that. Believe me, I'm not the type of person who would go and make a YouTube video just like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, somebody wants to see my ugly face and do this. No, I don't think that much of myself. I did it because God sent me to do it. And believe me, it was, again, one of the last things I would have expected. But I'm so glad that he sent me here, because the fulfillment that I get from it is just unbelievable. I'll talk to you all soon. God bless.